So, who are we then? What is compulsive role-playing, and why does it seem so normal in our modern society? How can we recognize and break free from it to enjoy authentic relationships in our daily lives? As hunter-gatherer cultures evolved into the ancient civilizations, specific functions were allotted to certain people. Class or caste systems developed, such as the farmer, merchant, craftsman, or warrior. A clan, and with it a personal function, which in most cases you were born into, determined your identity, determined who you were in the minds of others, as well as in your own mind. For centuries, movement between classes, largely defined by each particular family's traditional function, was either difficult or outright forbidden. And in some parts of the world, it still is. In Western First World countries, we can still see the faint echoes of this function-centered past, in family names that were once simply descriptions of what that clan did, like Smith or Weaver. Social function became a role, but it wasn't recognized as such. Rather, it was considered who those individuals were. Across history, only spiritual teachers saw beyond these limiting ideas. This explains accounts of Zen masters and Stoic philosophers feeling no intimidation or awe in the presence of shoguns or kings, and Jesus associating with everyone from the rich to beggars. Along with the Buddha, they saw the ultimate irrelevance of social class and recognized it as a pointless focus on an outward form, on an identity that thwarted seeing the real human being. In today's world, social structures like class and caste are far less prevalent, rigid, and defined. Most of us are no longer assigned a function at birth, which we, and society, make our identity. Interestingly, the multiple choices now available in most people's lives have led to the opposite, a social epidemic of identity confusion. So many end up uttering those words, "Who am I?" It's a thought-based, identity-oriented question which, according to most ancient wisdom teachings, we don't need to answer intellectually, go on a quest to discover, nor turn into a crisis. Most of the great spiritual masters and philosophers of history advise us to seek beingness and awakening, a primarily egoless journey, during which identity issues will just naturally fall away. Their general message is that when you truly accept that you don't know who you are, which doesn't matter, you acquire a clarity that is who you truly are beyond any construct of identity. But what of the role-playing predilection in our everyday existence? While you are working out this journey into clarity, in terms of daily living, it's not actually crucial exactly what function you fulfill in the world, work and lifestyle being just a set of choices. But what is very important is whether you identify with your function or self-conceived identity to such an extent that it takes you over and becomes a role which, like an actor, you then play. Most roles are played unconsciously, and when you play roles, you remain unconscious. The moment you catch yourself role-playing, a gap has appeared between the real you and the role. It is awareness, true self-realization, a flash of clarity, awakening, and the beginning of freedom from not only that specific role, but potentially from all fake constructs masking the inner you. A great, and at times even entertaining first step towards this liberation is to observe the role-playing mechanism at work in others around you, which then helps you recognize it in yourself. When people are intensely or completely identified with a role, they confuse a pattern of behavior with who they are, and so take themselves quite seriously. At times it's comical. Some people tell you, "I'm a musician," or "I'm an activist." But then, as the conversation unfolds, you realize it's more about getting attention than a deep love of music, or a heart for social reform. Consider a common scenario. An educated, well-read patient asks a doctor who just told them they must take a harsh course of medication. "But I read, there's gentler alternative treatments." Seemingly offended at resistance to his advice, the doctor replies condescendingly, "Reading on the internet is a fine thing, but he pauses to emphasize the all-important point, "am a doctor." While this exchange, on the face of it, seems not only an everyday one, but also quite reasonable, let's look at the precise dynamics of the communication and what they reveal about role-playing. This doctor is so totally identified with his role, that to him this patient is not a human being, worthy of an equal, respectful discussion, but a mere internet reader, and under that, a patient. Although the social structures of contemporary life are less rigid than in ancient cultures, the doctor speaks as if occupying a higher rung on the ladder because of his degree and occupation. It's even possible that this mere reader or patient he condescends to is possessed of a much higher IQ, designs cutting-edge technology, or is an advisor to their country's prime minister. Yet if this person is also trapped in his assigned patient role, he won't deploy his well-honed critical thinking or professional assertiveness, but will meekly, almost blindly, obey the doctor. Roles are all about validating some human's ego, their false, inflated I, which often reveals itself through the need to pull rank on someone else, to show off, dominate, or force cooperation. Apart from military culture, where life and death stakes justify a no questions, no debates style of leadership, most refusals to explain, to calmly discuss, or to listen reveal chronic role-playing. Recognition is the first step on the road to freedom from role-playing, but is difficult for many. An elderly woman who's become trapped in the role of parent while arguing with their adult CEO offspring may say ridiculous things like, "Because I'm your mother, I always know best." She and the doctor in our first example represent many, seduced by a sense of importance, so addicted to the ego stimulation some role has long given them, they risk losing touch with reality. Anyone who identifies with their role, be it "I'm your boss," "I'm your husband," or even "I'm your best friend," in order to exercise an imagined authority higher than facts or the truth, is quite lost. Lost in an illusion of who they are, a self which forces their interactions with others to become inauthentic, dehumanizing, even alienating. Sadly, this is why so many love relationships fail. As we said earlier, most people stuck in acting out a role take themselves and life very seriously, so spontaneity, lightheartedness, and savoring the joy of living are just not part of their script. The best way to help others break free of roles is to first become, then practice staying, free of them yourself. Whenever you enter a store, don't become a customer and see others as staff. Even while shopping, consciously remain your real self and interact as a human being, treating anyone you meet as a real fellow human being performing a function, not as that function itself. When you make this your daily practice, something almost miraculous happens. People sense your freedom from roles, and in many cases, feeling deep appreciation, become free of theirs. This practice has the potential to revolutionize your relationships with everyone you know and meet, as you learn to stay free of social fakery, and by example, release others to do the same. Can it really be as simple as that? Yes, but understand that this powerful self-awareness practice needs to be focused on daily, again and again, until over time, it becomes your new normal. And when it does, just by living in that light, authentic way, you will start, quite literally, changing your world.
Has this episode made you yearn for more authentic communication with those around you? If so, please check out a related area of challenge in our skill building episode 22.